what we should do as our youngsters, or how educational institutes or how students can support some of these initiatives which you are talking about. How what what role they can play in bringing about the change which you are talking about.
It's very important that the youth come forward in setting this economy right. I'll tell you why. Uh, Across the globe, I mean, there are no exceptions to this. Across the globe, wherever there has been a quantum jump in either societal or economic growth, that has always been initiated from the youth. It has been a youth-led initiative across the world. You see any transformative society across the world, the transformation has always begun from the students and from the youth. So I think it is possible that the youth can identify households within your own reach. Let's not talk about Bharat. I mean, big country like Bharat. Let us talk about the households who are around you. Can we identify that? Is it possible for us to bring this concept of a collective self-help into them? Can we ensure that their children get to school? Can we ensure that they get enrolled in the Ayushman Bharat? These are simple things which each one of you can do it. It doesn't require an IAS officer to do this. This is something which every student in his own purview around himself can do it. So I think my appeal through you to your listeners would be to take this as an opportunity to look around you, and then look at the misery around you and then address that. There are two types of people. There are people, in fact there are three types of people, I would say. That people who look at the misery and turn the other way around and then go away. There are set of people who look at the misery and feel bad about it and do nothing about it. And then the third set of people are those people who look at the misery, feel bad about it, and do something. It is a third category of the people who are needed now, and this is a category which each one of your listeners can become. So I also wanted to state that, why is it that a student who is studying engineering, say in IIT or in a good engineering college, be bothered about this? I mean, he should be bothered about his career, his employment, his placement, etc. No, because I unless you look at the poorest, you are you are you are at your weakest. Unless you look at the poorest, you are at your weakest. I'll tell you why. Any link is as good as its weakest. Any chain is as good as its weakest link. So unless you strengthen your weakest link, your chain is not going to be strong. So also, let me, in economic terms, what it means is that when poor gets access to money, poor get access to purchasing power, it is actually going to translate. You must face an adversity. If you are in a state of comfort, there will be no innovation. I can assure you that. There could be poetry if you are in sort of great comfort. But if you want innovation, you must face an adversity. Uh, and then second thing is that you should have the mindset to overcome the adversity. If you think that adversity is too much, so I just bow my head and then curse my fate, then there cannot be any innovation. So you must have that the challenging attitude to overcome adversities. Third thing is that you should have that attitude has to translate itself into out of the box solutions. So is the solution which I'm currently doing, is it good enough? If it is not good enough, what will work? So this out of the box solution is very important. Lastly, I would say that it requires analytical bent of mind. See, if you are a very obeying student, say very good student, you study a lot and then get great marks, you may not be innovating at all. I'm not asking you not to study. I'm only saying that you should have the capacity to question, analyze, and understand. Then only you will be able to innovate. So I think these are fundamental characteristics of what constitutes an innovation. or an innovative mind. I'm not claiming that I have this, but I have always looked at how we can do our work better. Whenever you get posted, see, I will just share with you one very interesting example. Normally IAS officers, they like to, I mean, they want cushy posting. They want to be in major metros, where they sort of always in the public eye. So we all got posted to tribal areas, which are completely unwanted by everybody. So in the government's wisdom, so what we thought is that if you are here, then there is an adversity. If you consider it an adversity, there is an opportunity to do a lot more. So in fact, I consider that posting in the most backward areas, deprived areas, is a fantastic opportunity to bring the best out of you. So so it happens. So in the tribal areas, many things have happened. I'll just tell you one basic fundamental experience that we have had in the tribal areas. So in the tribal areas, as soon as we were posted, the basic issue has been what is called as the shifting cultivation, Podu cultivation. This, I think all of you would know, that the tribal cuts the forest. He will do farming for 1 or 2 years. Then he will leave it. He will cut somewhere else. So it is a huge environmental challenge, because he is actually in the as the population has grown, the household or even economically backward household would be to immediately get to a job, find a naukri dhundna hai. That's the main focus of the household. I am not. That is completely understandable. So even the people who are having entrepreneurial ideas, path-breaking ideas, they latch on to the first job that comes onto their way, and then they get into a rigmarole of going to office, doing this. So as a result, the entire innovation or a spirit of innovation with which they have demonstrated in the campuses, that gets lost, and that's a huge loss to the nation. So what we are trying to do is that, can we set up a hub, entrepreneurial hub for the poorest and the weakest? What does the hub mean? You have an idea, you want to take it to a commercial, and that idea has been evaluated, accepted that it is an innovative idea, and that idea has to be promoted, and over a period of 3 to 5 years, if it requires to become a commercial venture. So for that 3 to 5 years, can we support this youth with some sort of a economic package, which should not be less than what they would get if they go to a normal naukri? So this is the concept on which we are working, and I think we would like to institutionalize this at the earliest. So once that gets going, then I think there will be greater assurance for the people to take to innovation and social innovation or economic innovation, as we can call it, and come out with path-breaking ideas. So we are at it. Apart from this, we also have what is called as a venture capital scheme. So any student, any youth who comes up with a good idea, starts an enterprise, we can bring venture capital up to 5 crores. It's not a small amount, up to 5 crores, so that they can actually build up their enterprise into a sustainable enterprise with which can actually employ more people. So the focus, again, Prime Minister's focus has been naukri ke liye mat dhundo, naukri dene ke liye dhund. So this has been his clarion call, and I think we can do it. I think we must now look beyond COVID, look into the future of it with a greater positive outlook.
Sir, as Chief Innovation Officer, sir, I routinely talk about failures, and I tell students